Okay, so just the basic navigation today that I wanted to touch on. Obviously, when you first log into your function point system, you're going to land on your dashboard here. What you'll land on is just our default dashboard. This is what we have just found over the years. Our clients most regularly kind of return to. These are the most used tiles. We've got our timesheets tiles, jobs tiles, hidden notes, as well as our tasks and to-dos. For myself, even in my own function point system, this is what I still use. But of course, all of this is customizable. Now, before I dive into the customization, I do want to point out just, again, some basic navigation within the system and some items that you should take note of. We've got our main black navigation bar up here at the top. So this is going to allow you to be able to access any of our modules within the system. Within that, you'll be able to see the find, view, and add options as well. So go through this. Depending on your permissions within the system, you might see more, you might see less. It does change just depending on what your role is and what you actually need access to within FP. Also up here, you will find the quick search. So if at any point you needed to just do a quick search and you don't want to go through the other find options, which I will dive into in a little bit more detail shortly, you can do quick searches up here and then search within those individual modules as well. Now, I also touched on that additional learning for you. You can reach that through the eye up here in the top right-hand corner of your system through the Help Center. You can also submit an idea to our product team. And then, of course, if you're ever interested in our terms of services or privacy policy, those are here as well. Probably, again, though, based on your permissions, you may or may not be able to see everything. Okay, cool. So let's dive into the dashboard. So again, like I was saying, this is our default dashboard here, but you can customize this depending on your role and what you actually need up at the forefront every time you log into Function Point. You can do that through the dial up here in your top right-hand corner of your system. You'll notice ahead of already that I do have a few preset dashboards already set up. I don't believe there are any limits to the number of dashboards you can have. So if you really want to test that, go for it and see how many you can. But you'll notice the customized dashboards here. So if you click on that, it will bring you into our customized dashboard tile. You'll notice we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 step option here. So what you would do is you would just click Add New Dashboard. You would give it a title. So Sophia's Awesome Dashboard. You would choose a layout. So there's quite a few different layout options here. We've got everything from just a single, and of course my trackpad there. Sorry about that, folks. So you'll have everything along this line here. You can have everything from just a single tile over here on the far left-hand side, or everything up to the 6-pack over here on the right-hand side. Within that, as you choose the different tile layouts, you can then choose the data that is accessible within those tiles. So for our example today, maybe I'm going to go for alerts. I'm going to go for jobs. I'm going to go for the tasks, the timesheet, pin notes actually. Let's go for tasks and to-dos, and then in here, I'm going to do jobs here, and then so we're going to change that to timesheets. Just as a little item for everyone, I do recommend everyone leave a timesheet tile on your dashboards if you are going to customize a dashboard, just because time tracking is so important within Function Point. And it just makes it easier to be able to access it without having to navigate to a different dashboard at other times to be able to track your time. So whenever you're ready, you can just click Save and Close. And then what you'll do is you'll just navigate back here and you'll just click onto that dashboard and you'll now see that that has populated for you. So everything, of course, I don't really have a lot of data in here at the moment, so it's a little bit blank. But as you track time, your timesheets will also start to populate. As your notes are pinned to you, those will also fill in here for you as well. So it really is that easy just to create any dashboards as you want. There are also some preset templates. So if you're wanting to take a look at any of those templates, again, just from working with agencies in the past, we created these ahead of time for anyone to be able to access and use as you would prefer as well. Maybe I'll just check in. Leanne, any questions or comments, or is there anything that you would like me to also show in regards to the dashboard?
Just something to note, just that when somebody does create a dashboard, it would be unique to them, and it won't be something that can be shared across the agency. So just something to note. I often get questions about that.
Yeah, no, that is a really good point. Thank you for bringing that up, Leanne. And there's actually something else I'll be showing later on in regards to just kind of customizing some reports as well that is unique to your system as well. So yeah, you don't need to worry about anyone coming and creeping on your dashboard if that's ever a concern. Thanks, Leanne. Cool. Okay, so that does lead me into the next item in regards to simple searches within the system, and then being able to kind of customize some reporting for yourself depending on what, again, you need access to within your FP system. So with that navigation item earlier and how we can navigate throughout the different modules on here on the top within those find, view, and add, you'll notice the find, so that will take you into the next item that I'm going to look at, but I do want to point out the view. So the view will populate up to 15, in this example, companies that you've recently viewed. So if there is like a certain number of companies that you regularly work with and are regularly looking at their direct pages within your function point system, those will populate there for you. So it could be a quick, easy search for you at any time to be able to pull that up. And then, of course, the adding, if you're needing to add in new companies or customers for yourself into the system, you can just easily do it through that way. But what I want to point out today is actually the find. Now, this is the same within every single module. I'm doing it through the find companies just because that is the one module I know that everyone probably will have access to within the system. So let's go for that today. So anytime you navigate into one of these finds, it is very similar layout, but of course, depending on the data that would be attached to those modules, it will show different fields. For our example today, because we're looking at companies, we do have these items currently. You can create custom fields when it comes to companies, so those are also searchable for you on these find pages. Now, let's just say for this example today, we have Easter coming up, and what we want to do is we want to send like Easter egg baskets to all of our currently active customers, just as a nice little treat for them. What we'll want to do is actually just search for all of our active customers. And with our company type, we want to only look for our clients. Currently, we don't want to actually send these to any of our supplier vendors or prospects, just our active clients. So as you are filtering down by these items, your list will pull only based off of that data that you're searching by. And then maybe also, as much as we love our Argentinian customers, that's a little far to send them, so we just want to send them to the United States today. And we'll just search for all of our customers that are there. And then whenever you're ready, you can click Find. And this will now bring you into your company list. So again, throughout all the different modules in the system, as you perform these searches, it will then bring you to the list version of it afterwards. And that is the condensed version based off of those filters that you have now created. So for, again, this example today, we actually need everyone's address to be able to send them these Easter egg baskets. And so as you can see, this list that we've landed on right now doesn't actually include the addresses, but I would like them included for just an easy reference point for me while I'm creating these. And you can actually do that through the manage columns up here in the top right hand corner of your system. This will populate the manage columns option. And again, this is accessible through every single module within the system, and the data will change based off of the data attached to these items. But what I need, well, first I'm going to get rid of the fax because I don't actually know many companies that have faxes anymore. I'm not going to need their website for today or this edit option, but I do need the address, the city, province or state, that zip code, and the country, just so I can confirm that they are still in the US. And then whenever you're ready, we can click Save Columns, and you'll now see that this has changed for us. So we've got our list of companies and then all of the address information that we need. Now, from here, you can continue to reference this list directly in your function point system, or we do also have options to print it as a PDF or actually export it as a CSV. Now, with this export as a CSV, we've got either exporting that current view, so what you've created here, or exporting all data. So that will export every single bit of data related to these companies for you. So if you really just need a data dump, this is a great way of grabbing that for you. Now, something I do also want to point out about this page is the sorting options. And this is actually something that a customer brought up to me even earlier this morning and was asking about that. You can sort these columns as you need. So say, for example, if you want everything in alphabetical order, you can actually sort by these top options and it will alphabetize it for you. And then if you maybe needed to search within those alphabetized options with the cities, you can also sort by that. Now you'll see with this that didn't actually change much because it's still feeding off of this company sort first. So if you're ever noticing that that's happening, you can just easily come up here and clear the sort, and it will just go back to its default, and then from there you can choose to sort by the cities. So now everything is sorted by the cities first, and then if you wanted to alphabetize within that, it will then change accordingly. So that was just something someone didn't know the other day, so I just thought I would point it out for you. So now that we have this list, we know we have 23 customers that we actually want to go ahead and send these Easter egg baskets to. So this is, again, just a really easy way to be able to pull and look at lists as you need. Of course, this is a very basic example with using the company list. But I will also show you a couple of tips and tricks when it comes to the jobs themselves. So Leanne, unless there are any questions coming in, I'll hop over to that. I don't think I've seen any questions coming in. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, there's no question. So if anybody wants to ask anything, feel free to put your question forward. Or if there was something you were hoping to see perhaps today, you can also add that into the questions area. The only thing I was going to ask Sophia, and I'm not sure if you'd already planned to do this, was I've often have customers come back and say, you know, maybe they have run this search in the past and they click on the module header to return back to this list view, and they're wondering why they're not seeing all of their data. Perhaps they had filtered it by just the US, as you had mentioned, but they want to see all their clients. Just a reminder that you would have to then do another search or another find in order to find a new set of outputs for this view. I often get people saying, hey, this isn't my full list, or how do I pull that? So a reminder that you would then need to go and return and do another find in order to pull up a different list in this view.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Leanne. And I'll actually just quickly show that. So, you know, if after you've pulled this list, you know, you're navigating within Function Point again, as you can see, I've just come back to the dashboard. If you come up here and click companies, it's going to take you back to that search that you had just recently done. So you'll see it's still holding the same columns, it's still holding the same headers. Nothing in here has changed from that previous search. So like Leanne was saying, if you needed a different find, just coming in here, finding companies, say you just want to search for absolutely everything, you would have to perform that new search to then produce that new list. So that's a really great point. Thanks for pointing that out, Leanne. So what I'm going to feed into now is just a couple tips and tricks when it comes to searching for jobs specifically. These are just items that I see very regularly used. So as you can see, I've performed a job find here. We've got a very similar layout in regards to the kind of data we can pull. Now, an example I get pretty regularly is from customers that are like, you know, I just want to see all of the jobs that have been created within a certain date range, or maybe jobs that have been created specifically this quarter. You can search by those and actually by a date range. I know that you'll come in here and you think you can only put in one date, like say today, and tab out and just see everything that has a delivery date of today, but we can create a search. So the delivery date, for those of you that may not be familiar with it, best practices within Function Point, it's a date that you can enter when you're first creating the estimate that represents the day that you would expect the piece of work to be completed by. So it's just an easy way to monitor jobs that maybe need a higher priority based on when their due dates are. But I want to search by creation dates today. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to search for everything that's been created this year so far. So we would do Jan 1, and then to search by that date range, we would just put 3 dots, and then we will put in today. Also, a shortcut is you can actually put in things like today or yesterday or tomorrow, and it will populate those for you. So if you tab out, it will populate those dates. Whenever you're ready, you can click Find Active, and it will pull the list based on dates that were created within that date range. So we know that 40 jobs were created within that date range. So that's just, again, another little just sort of trick that I like to show everyone for your use. And also on the job find page, that is a little bit different from that last page we were just looking at, is this editable list view. So within here, you can actually edit a few columns. Now, just to take note, it won't hold on to the manage columns or the customization you've done with your columns here, just because of the 3 columns that are customizable on this page, which are status, delivery date, and date description. So I see this page regularly used, say, in a status meeting where everyone is sort of very actively just making comments or needing to do quick updates in regards to these pieces of work. So this is just sort of another good little trick for you to know as well. Okay, awesome. So those are really just some pretty handy kind of quick reporting, navigation that I think are pretty valuable. 9 times out of 10, when someone comes to me with a reporting question, I can usually build it out through the manage columns options. So take a peek in here, see if there's anything relatable to you, specifically with the job list. Maybe you're someone that works in finance and you need all those financial information, or maybe you're someone that works within project management and you really just need to see the hours. So you can pick and choose what data is most relevant to you that you would need every time you pull some of these lists based off the jobs that you need to see. All right, now before I dive into time tracking, Leanne, I think I did see a question pop up. Do you think it's anything we should answer on screen, or again, anything you'd like to add? You've made some good points throughout our presentation today.
Thank you. The question was related to time tracking, so I think you're going to be covering it, and I'll chime back in if it's something that you don't cover, but specifically wanting to touch on the weekly view.
Yeah, awesome. I will definitely touch on that weekly view. So if I don't cover it, just ping Leanne again, and I'll make sure to touch on it for sure. Okay, cool. So with the time tracking, as I was saying before, definitely keep a timesheets tile active for you on whatever your default dashboard is. I'm going to navigate back to that classic one just because I personally find it is one of the best ones, or using the timesheets, at least in a tile of this size, it allows you to access all the different ways of time tracking. So I would recommend it, but of course you do not have to. There's no pressure. So let's dive into this. So with this timesheets, what you'll notice here is that a few of them do have a highlighted blue side here. That just means it's a required field within the system. You won't be able to move forward unless you filled it in. Of course, the system will go red at you, and you'll know that you've done something wrong. But it's just good to note of where those mandatory things are, because I hate when things spit red at me for sure. So what you'll notice is that you've got 2 options here. You've got the time clock. So this would actually allow you to click start, and it will just automatically click away for you and start tracking your time. If you know that you're working on something maybe not in function point, you just come in here, click start. You could go work on the tasks that you need to work on, and then come back at any point, click stop, and it will automatically fill in the duration for you. Or if, say, you've forgotten to come turn on the clock, or it's not part of your workflow, you would just enter in the duration yourself. So you know that you're working on an item for 2 hours. You could come input that. You do have to track your time directly to jobs and the service related to that job within function point. So with the job, if you know the job number, you at any point could come in here and easily just type it in and tab out, and it will automatically populate for you. Another option is you can click the magnifying glass over here on the side, and it will actually pull up, I believe it's around 200 jobs or 200 open jobs in here for you to be able to just scroll through and pick the one that you're actually looking for. Or if you actually only know like a partial wording for something or partial number, you can type that in, tab out, and it will pull up any jobs that are relevant to what you've typed in. So you'll notice that this list has gotten a little bit shorter. I can't scroll through it like I could with the last one. So you can easily click on the one that you do need to choose. From the job, you would then choose the service. So this will only pull up the services that are active on that job. So you'll notice that sometimes they change depending on the job that you are working on. That's just because of your agreement with your client and the services that you're providing to them. So you would go ahead and you would choose that service that you know you were working on. If you had a task relating to that, you could also choose that. I will show time tracking directly for tasks in a moment as well, because that, of course, is really important in most agencies as well. There is a difference between tracking time directly to the job and tracking time to a task, but I will dive into that in a moment. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole quite yet. And then, of course, best practices, fill in the description. Let your managers and those that need to know what you've been working on in regards to the display for Galaxy Notes and the research related to that. So researching Galaxy Notes. I'm sure you will be much more descriptive than myself. I'm just, I guess I'm not feeling as creative as I need to feel today, as I need to be today. But whenever you're ready, you would just go ahead and you would click submit, and you'll now start to see those timesheets populating for you down here on the bottom area for you. At any point, of course, though, you can come in here and actually delete this timesheet if you need to recreate it for some reason, or edit it if you end up going in and working more time than just those 2 hours on this specific item as well. So you do have those options for you, which of course is great. And even as you are tracking time in the different areas of the system, which we will jump into next, they will the timesheets will also continue to populate down here as well. So you can track them throughout the day, and it will give you a daily total. So if you know that you're going into overtime or anything else that maybe needs to be noted, you can see that. So the next thing I want to pop into is the timesheet window. So this is the exact same as this timesheet dashboard tile. We've created this because you actually can't work within function point while also having the time clock going at the exact same time. So if you know you need to work within function point and use the time clock, just pop this out and it can go work around in the background. So I can come back in here in function point and navigate as I need to and work as I need to on different items. And then I can come back in here and see that the time clock is still going for me. You can actually have as many of these open at a time as you want as well. Not that we would recommend that because it can get overwhelming and difficult to track later on, but you can do that. And then, of course, you'll notice that all those timesheets will be tracking down there as well. Again, the only reason that is like that is because if we had the time clock going in here, for some reason, you wouldn't be able to navigate through function point and then still have that time clock going. So if I navigate it back, it does clear that out, which some people, they want to be working in function point while also having this going. So you'll see that it's still going up here. Awesome. So the next item is in regards to the weekly view, which was that question that Leanne had before. So the weekly view is a really great way of tracking time. As you have already tracked time, you will notice that this is already being tracked. So we've got the display for the Galaxy Notes on the research and that 2 hours that was attached to that. So at any point, you can add in as many jobs as you need for what you're working on. Maybe I'll just add a few in here. And then you would go and you would choose that service like we were talking about on the last page, because you can't track time to just a job. It has to be to a service. And then what you'll notice is we've got Monday through Sunday here for tracking time. So I know that on Monday, I worked on this for maybe half an hour, which would be 0.5. You can still put in that description and tab out, and it will just tab throughout the boxes for you. And you can just add in as much time as you need, depending on those items for you throughout the week. And you'll also see the total time tracking at the bottom as well. Now, what's really great about this is, in addition, is that you can go back in time. So say last week, you know that you actually needed to track time regarding a certain piece of work and you forgot to, you can easily go back in time. It's certainly not best practices, but I will admit that I am also not great at tracking time at the best of times, and usually there's about 10 minutes on a Friday where I'm needing to input all of my timesheets for that entire week. So you can come in here and add in that time related to those pieces of work as you need. Something else, if there's something that you have tracked time to from the following week, it will actually still be there for you next week as well. The system just sort of assumes that you might still be working on those pieces of work, so those will be active. You'll see now I've got into the future here, and those same jobs that I had chosen for this week are living up there as well. Yeah. Leanne, is there anything that you would add to here?
Yes, just a couple of quick things. So some of the questions we were getting were, well, first I wanted to clarify. If there was a related task to any of these jobs, that would also show as a drop-down option or already be pre-filled in for you within the task column. So the original question was, hey, I'm working on a bunch of tasks. How can I quickly add my timesheet against all of those? So that would be displayed here, and you would add your entire timesheet as Sophia was showing you. It also remembers all of the jobs moving forward, which is quite a nice feature. So Sophia's shown going back to a previous week, but next week, if you haven't closed it off, it'll also show, as she's just showing us here. The other question was, what if I needed to add, say, like 5 minutes of time? How would I go about that? I don't know if you have a better suggestion. We typically would say to kind of bump it up to 15 minutes. I don't know if that's still what we recommend. But if you did need to enter, say, 15 minutes of time, you would enter in 0.25. Do you want to add anything to that?
No,
I don't know if you tell people to add 5. I personally would bump it up to 15, but perhaps somebody has a different suggestion.
No, I completely agree with you, Leanne. Our best practices usually don't track time in anything outside of 15-minute increments. There are some agencies I work with that they request people to track down to the minute, but in those cases, they're usually tracking through the stop clock. Rather than just letting people input it. So that would definitely be something to go to probably your FP Prime or your manager about.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, and then the second was just, can you clarify a little bit the difference between time tracking at the task level versus the service level and how that relationship works?
Definitely. That is actually the perfect segue into what I was
going to good.
I know.
Okay.
I knew I loved having you on here with me, Leanne.
There we go. Perfect.
Okay, great. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so the weekly, the timesheets by week, everyone take a look at this. You probably will find use in it. I know I do, so go ahead and take a look. Now, with time tracking directly to tasks, so with obviously on this page, you can choose your tasks. On that weekly view, you can choose your tasks. But what I really recommend using when it comes to task tracking is using your tasks and to-dos tile. So just with that clarification between like a service and a task and tracking time to that. When it comes to a job, you will have services within that job, and you can track time directly to that service related to that job. Now, tasks is like another layer. A task would actually already be connected to that service and that job for you. So tracking time to that task allows you to see the number of hours you've spent directly on that task, but those hours will also feed up into that service on that job as well. So just for an example, if there is a task of research and there's maybe 3 different individuals that have been all tasked about 3 hours of research time for the total 6 hours related to that job, you would see that maybe like Marianne has tracked 2 hours, Susan has tracked 2 hours, and Steve has tracked 2 hours. But when looking at your specific task, you will see that you have estimated 2 hours and you have tracked 2 hours. So ultimately, that task is attached to the service on the job for you. Leanne, is there anything you would add to that? I feel like I slightly rambled in regards to that.
No, I think that explains it. Thank you.
Okay. Perfect. Now, so I have created just a quick task here in the tasks and to-dos for our example today. So this is a task that I have been assigned today in regards to job number 30283, which is a mail brochure. It says it was assigned by me to me, but of course, if there's anyone that has assigned it to you, you'll be able to see that in case you have any additional questions or something and need to go reference to them. But you'll also notice the due date. So with the due date, it is today's date, so it's been bolded for you. But if you were to ever go over, like if you're now on March 22nd and it was due on March 21st, it would become red, knowing that you are now past the due date. So just something to take note of. It will also show the estimated hours and then the number of hours you have tracked that task at this time. So probably what everyone's thinking right now is like, okay, like I want to know how to track time to this. So you'll notice these statuses over here. So when it's in assigned, that just means that someone has assigned it to you now at this point. But what you know that you've started working on it and you need to track time. You would change this status from assigned to in progress, which you'll now notice this little clock has popped up over here on the left-hand side, which actually makes your time tracking even easier. All you have to do is click on that and you'll notice that everything has populated over here for you in your timesheet style. All you need to do is actually put in how many hours you have worked now on this piece. So maybe for today, I know I've worked half an hour on it, and put in a description. So webinar example still. And then you would just click submit, and you'll now notice that that half an hour has populated for you, as well as we've actually gone into the red because we didn't estimate any hours for this task, but we've worked half an hour on it. So this is the easiest way of tracking time directly to tasks. This is a huge reason why I recommend everyone to task out within Function Point, so that it is really easy for kind of those end users that really just need to use Function Point for easy time tracking and task management for themselves. So definitely keep this tile if you can with this tile, and you'll see easy task management and time tracking for you at any point. Something else I'll just point out is there are a few filtering options up here. So if you do have a large number of tasks that are maybe a bit overwhelming at times, you can filter by maybe everything that is due soon, so everything that is only due within the next 7 days, and it will filter that down for you, or even filter it by the specific task statuses. You can do that for yourself. For myself, I usually just leave it in open assigned / in progress, and then I'll sort by these titles again. So just like how the sorting on those find options, you can sort directly in here as well. So I know I just want everything that's due soon to be at the top. You can filter by that. And then if you ever need to clear that sort, you would just click it 3 times to clear it out. So that's what I myself personally do, but whatever your personal preferences are, there's lots of options for filtering, sorting, just for easy management for yourself. Now, I will just quickly point out as well, you'll notice that this time clock, it has been living on this task here, but you'll also notice that it's actually directly here on these jobs as well. So if you see a job that you know you're working on, you can easily click on that and it will populate for you over here in the timesheets tile as well. Of course, it doesn't fill in everything the same way that tasks option does, but you can, again, choose that service, put in that duration if there is a task associated to it, and then enter that description. So there are easy ways of finding the jobs that you're working on and tracking time to it. Another item I will just quickly point out as well is it does happen quite a bit where people come and ask me like, you know, I've filled in everything, but this task isn't populating, but I see it over here in this task and to-dos option. 9 times out of 10, it's because this status hasn't been changed from assigned to in progress. So if it's still in an assigned state, you are unable to track time to it. So just making sure that everything has been changed to in progress. It's just a good way of showing to your manager or whoever maybe is managing the schedule for that job that you have actually started working on this task. So it's definitely a best practice to please change these statuses from assigned to in progress when you need to. It will make your manager's job easier, and it will make your time tracking later on easier as well. Okay, I think that was everything I want to touch on, Leanne. I will check in one more time. I do see that questions are coming in. Anything that you think I should show on screen?
Yes, so the first thing was, I was wondering if you could show a little bit about in the jobs tile, just how you could filter it a little bit just to show my jobs. Because the question was around how do we even get jobs to pop up here in the first place? And that's any open job will automatically go within this tile. But a secondary sort of follow-up one would be like, okay, we're looking at a long list of jobs here. How could I filter this list? So I'm just looking at the key jobs that I'm working on.
Yeah, that is a really good point and a great little trick as well. So like Leanne was saying, sometimes there can be hundreds of jobs that your entire agency is working on, and anything that is open will show up in this jobs tile for you. Now, however, for yourself, if you know that you're only working on a certain number of them, you can filter by the My Jobs up here. Now, there's two ways to figure out what the My Jobs are in the system. Either you are listed as a contact on those jobs already, so it will automatically filter out those. Now, in my demo system, I'm not listed as a contact on any of those jobs, so it hasn't filtered anything. But I can open this back up again, and I know I'm working on this annual report. I know I'm working on this direct mail for the Galaxy 4, and I know I'm doing this Pro Shop brochure. So I've just gone ahead and I've clicked within the My column here. So when I come up here and filter by My Jobs again, it's only showing those 3 relevant jobs that I need active on this tile for myself at any point. So this is just a great way of filtering down that. Of course, again, you do have the options of sorting as well, just like the rest of the pages I've shown you on. But if you only have 3, you probably don't need to do that. So this is an excellent way of just only having the jobs that you really need actively in front of you at any point, so you don't need to know what everyone else is maybe working on within your agency. Leanne, is there anything else you'd like me to add to that?
Hi, thank you for that. No, that's wonderful. Just as sort of the last piece of the puzzle to touch on, do you mind just pointing out how you can expand the task to-dos list? One of the questions was about sorting, and in addition to the filter, thought it might be interesting for them to see how you can sort by the headers as well.
Oh, expanding this. Yeah, of course.
Sorry,
so,
yeah, just the full screen view, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Just wanted to set you up to fail, sorry. Yeah, I apologize. I wasn't very clear.
No,
a little
okay.
bit, maybe. No, okay.
Yeah, so you can come into the full screen of this tasks and to-dos page. There's 2 ways of doing it, either through this button up here or through the navigation bar up here to the tasks and to-dos. Let's do it through the full screen for now. So it is just the much larger option here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to choose to look at all tasks so that this list is a bit larger for you. If you're ever wanting to highlight everyone, just click the first name on the top, hold down Shift, and click the last name. That will highlight everyone. And you can click Select, and it will now pull up all of the tasks assigned to all of those individual staff for you. So again, it's still showing all the data from before, but a little bit more because there's just more screen real estate to add in more columns. And of course, we can also sort or filter by these options up here, and then of course actually sorting by the top. So you know, again, how I was mentioning the due date as my go-to when it comes to the items that should be sorted by. You know, there's these tasks that were due back in February that haven't been completed yet. There's only technically 62.5% completed. This would be a great time to kind of question the individual. It looks like Brock. Gosh, Brock's such a slacker, as to why he hasn't completed that task yet. Again, these I see regularly used in status meetings. So you can come in here as a team and see what's maybe behind, or just sheer laziness haven't been closed. And if we know that this is actually done, we can change that status to completed, and it will then clear out that task for you. So it's just another great page of expanding that task and to-dos tile for more like teamwork I usually see used. Leanne, is there anything that you would add to that?
Sorry, I was just checking to see if I was on mute, but I'm not. So sorry for the breathing. No, that's great. I think what specifically they were asking was about the ability to sort by the column headers that run across the top there. So currently you filtered by due, but then as we see within the list views, you can also clear the sort. So I do think that this is a great thing just to kind of revisit, that you can always clear the sort, and then if you needed to sort by, say, due date, or maybe it's the job, again, these column headers are a great way to filter information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something I'm sorting by right now that I do see pretty frequently as well is maybe sort by the individual and then the due date within that. So if you're needing to go through each person and their individual tasks sort of systematically within some of your meetings, you can do that as well. Cool. Well, that was everything I really wanted to touch on today. Leanne, were there any questions or, sending it also out to everyone that's attending today, was there anything that you really hoped I would touch on that we do still have an extra 15 minutes here before we log off that I could quickly show? If not, please reach out to our success team at success@functionpoint.com. We will put you in touch directly with your success manager who can help you with any of your workflow or training related needs. So, if you can't come up with anything on the spot right now while you have us, do not hesitate to reach out. We are here to help make you successful while using FunctionPoint. So, yeah, we'd love to hear from you. But Leanne, anything coming in yet?
No, the only other thing I might show them, because I'm obviously pro Help Center, do you mind just showing in the Help Center just the crash courses area? I think it's good, as a lot of the listeners here are new to FunctionPoint, just showing that there are some additional resources. So crash courses in here, it's quite short, but we do have this Welcome to FunctionPoint page, and that will actually take you to a great video that highlights a lot of what Sophia touched on today. And then under the My Job Is area, this is specific to what your role will be within your agency and the actions that you need to perform. So again, you can click into any of those links. It'll take you to the corresponding page, and there'll be some videos or webinars that we think would help in your assist in learning. So just kind of wanted to showcase that. But as far as all the questions are, we're good. There's a couple I do need to still answer, so I will stay on and answer those, but nothing new to review.
Okay, awesome. Well then, thank you everyone for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure having you. Again, reach out to us at any point at success@functionpoint.com. Of course, there are times where we are sleeping, so if you are unable to get a hold of us, please come in and check out the FunctionPoint library. It really is a great resource. Everything is organized really well based off of the modules, depending on, of course, what you're needing. It is pretty easy to search through. Yeah, and thanks for joining me today, Leanne. It's always fun having you on the webinars with me. All right, everyone have a good day.